Hey, what's up guys, it's ElasticSpyder here, and in today's video we have a community replay as usual on Saturdays. If you'd like to send us a community replay, send it to BIAworldofwarships@gmail.com. Please include the battle, or the replay rather, and also the post-battle results, and that's a key one. Post-battle results are key. It helps us kind of sort through the not-so-good replays with the other replays. And if you don't have one, then it's hard to consider your replay in general. But so do please send that, all of those things. In today's replay, we have some ranked, which is it's about halfway through the season, around about 16 days left. So this is kind of the first you're seeing of ranked on our channel this season. We're looking at JokercanSwim, which I'm guessing is a Batman reference. I haven't watched Batman, so I wouldn't know, but I can only guess. He's playing in, I guess, the Takao according to the leaderboard, but it looks like the Takao to me via all the arpeggio camo. Now, it's kind of interesting here because the Takao is one of those ships that is... well, you don't get the good concealment rating like the Takao does. You do get a 9.4 kilometer concealment, which of course is less than ideal considering the Takao can get a little bit better. So that is one of those things that's kind of questionable. The bright side though is that's pretty much the only main difference. But sometimes that concealment can be very, very helpful, and we will see if that does actually impact the gameplay at all. But so that's just one of those things that I would say. Overall, I think the Takao is not a bad pick for ranked, but certainly it's not the best or the worst. So it's kind of there in the middle. It's one of the better cruisers, I would say, because it does have a heal, and it does have quite hard hitting high explosive with a good fire chance. But then again, I believe it has a 16-second reload. Can't actually see that. Oh, here we go. So about a 16-second reload. Still can't see that, but the range is a little lackluster, so you do have to get into these closer range engagements. With only a range of 16 kilometers, yeah, you definitely do. The other good thing about it is it does have nice 10-kilometer torpedoes, so if you do have an Takao, you can self-torp a slight bit better than the Takao. Just because that 3% concealment difference between the two, that does help a little bit for stealth torping. But then again, you don't utilize stealth torping all that much. It's not a bad idea, especially around these corners and kind of the early game, especially if you only have one destroyer aside like we have here. Press shift to enter binocular view. Okay. So we see a little bit of that here. Fire our first salvo of the game on the turret is get a fire, and we also do around 4k damage. He instantly damage cons, so well, that's good. And something from the very few games that I have played of ranked this season, I believe I'm at 3 or 4. I have seen a large amount of battleships, and so you do have to be careful if you are playing cruiser. You have to be very, very careful when you turn, and make sure when you do turn not to turn when you are spotted, unless you are for sure certain that you are not getting targeted by anyone and no one is shooting at you. Those nice 10-kilometer torpedoes did hit something. We don't know what it was. Based on the ships that are spotted now, I'm going to assume either that unspotted, I believe that was a New Orleans, or it is very possible that it hit the destroyer, which is a Kagero. And if it does hit the Kagero, he should be extremely low depending on where he took that torpedo. So that's already a good start, and that's kind of that's like those torpedoes I felt weren't intentional. I mean, he intentionally placed them, but he wasn't intentionally trying to hit a certain target, so to say. You know, he was just kind of throwing them on the B cap or on the A cap, and they kind of just stuck, which again is nice. Something like a Chapayev or Kutuzov can kind of do it, but it can't really quote unquote stealth torp unless it's in smoke. But regardless, that is something that you can add to your flexibility list. So as we can see here on the minimap, well, all the battleships are having a party in B6. So it's looking like a great start to the game already. The enemy team has a slight advantage in terms of cap point lead. They've got, looks like, one extra tick, about about 5 seconds, 5-6 seconds, a little bit more than that. But I'm sure that's gonna not be very relevant in a few minutes here. So we get spotted, we start shooting the turrets, we send some preemptive torps for the Kutuzov that I'm assuming we expect to just blow around that corner, but that Kutuzov looks like he's doing the semi-smart thing and keeping the island between them. We're using priority target, that's good, it's always nice for ranked. That's a nice tactic I like to use. Going backwards, stop, and then go forwards, and then instead of going full speed, which most people do assume, and they end up aiming a little bit farther, you actually just stop again, wait for the shells to pass, and then increase your speed yet again. And it'd be interesting to see what modules Joker is running. If he's running the rudder shift, which I probably would recommend, or the propulsion. Kutuzov does smoke up there, and we saw the AP being loaded. Good predictiveness in Joker's playstyle. Yeah, and we can see there Kago's on 3.5k health, and well, I'm sure we hit him with torpedoes. Kutuzov sitting there, not knowing the smoke mechanics in the game is going to be detrimental. Unfortunately, we aim a little high. That was a pretty good, in terms of location, it was a pretty good. Right onto the smokestack is usually a pretty fairly consistent citadel location for most ships, and the Kutuzov in particular is also quite good, but I think we aimed just a tad bit higher. I think we're maybe a little worried about hitting that island, which is a fair analysis, I would say, but at least we got that Kutuzov to back up and stop firing at our allies, and ultimately, if the ship's dead or if he stopped doing what he's doing, well, that's also a good thing too. So at this point, this is pretty much what cruiser gameplay has come to in this heavy battleship meta. Is just sitting behind islands and just spamming cruisers, and it's not a. I'm not gonna say it's a bad tactic, but it's certainly not the most ideal. It's a good tactic in the sense that you're not getting fired upon most of the time. If you do get spotted, well, you know that just, you know, people don't like you anymore, and you're getting fired upon. And the other good thing is that, so you're conserving damage. The other thing is you're outputting damage without taking any, and that's what Warships is all about. The downside to it, though, is that you are a cruiser, and that's mobility is one of your better aspects, so to say, and not having that mobility in your gameplay is sometimes detrimental to your success as a cruiser player in the game. So you have to pick and choose your moments. At this point, I would say probably to get a move on is not a bad decision here. If we can go undetected, that's obviously way more better than anything else, but I think we're just going to reverse here behind this island, try to stay as angled as possible. North Carolina is shooting HE, that's an interesting one. Not a bad tactic by that NC, I guess. But especially now, more than ever, we're seeing the Turpets in New Orleans doing God knows what up at B3, fighting ARP Bismarck, which again, I don't, oh my gosh, if this is how this rank season is going to go, well, this is going to be a rough one for sure, guys. But we're going to take the plunge. We see that no one's looking at us. Turpets isn't interested in shooting us, so we're going to go, maybe? Maybe not. Interesting. Now, at this point in the game, we're both down a ship. HP pools, I would say, are pretty similar. Everyone's about half. The New Orleans is about full. We're about full. We still have a lot of heals left. Their DD is low. Our DD is fairly okay. the thing is, they've got a 300 point lead, and of course that is not ideal at all. We definitely do not want to be giving up unnecessary point leads. And losing, somehow we lost B cap. I didn't even notice how we lost B cap, but we did, and of course that is not the most ideal thing ever. We do kill the Turpets, and now the Bismarck should be dying relatively quickly here. At this point, especially now, you really need to be getting going. Drop these torps, get going. You see this New Orleans, if you wanted to, he could citadel you at this range. At this range, and if you're sitting still at, even if you are, you know, changing your speed slightly, you know, it's going to be rough. Because a good player, if that New Orleans is a good player, then you're going to have a rough time, dude. I'm just saying that now. You know, initially it was good to sit here. I think it's a little overkill now, because now you can see you're getting fired, especially the target indicator. Now that it's hit 3, dude, you gotta run. And if you look at the mini map also, you've got, there you go, there's a hard hit. You got this Bismarck who's luckily not focused on you. You've got the North Carolina shooting at you, and you've got this New Orleans and Turpets to your side. Basically, you've got people aiming 180 degrees. If you look at this line on the minimap, Turpets, Bismarck, New Orleans, North Carolina, you've got 180 degrees. You cannot angle against this. No matter what angle you take, you're going to take damage. And so, had you possibly gotten out of that situation a little bit earlier, and luckily now you're undetected because you do have good concealment. You know, you could have avoided a lot of the damage you've taken. Now, I don't know what your flag situation is, but I would also recommend using the heal flag, because instead of being able to heal probably about 6-7k, you could probably heal about 8 or 9k. With one heal, so something also to keep in mind. I don't know your flag situation and whatnot, but something to keep in mind for future references. So now it's a 2v3, and the enemy has 908 points. Fortunately, though, our Bismarck was smart enough to get on A. I don't know if he spotted, and we still don't have B, which is funny because this is the cap we went to initially. So we're going to try and grab B. I know it's tempting. Don't shoot. You need to cap. Oh, you need to cap, man. You need to cap. You really need to cap. Give your... Okay. Bismarck got pretty lucky there. Probably a good shot. I couldn't quite see it, but got a bit lucky. If that was a good New Orleans player, he probably would have reset you. So again, just a little critiquing there. Now again, in that situation, you could have waited till the cap was on, let's say, like 4 seconds, because by the time the New Orleans, especially if he's not looking at you 4 or 5 seconds, he can, by the time he realizes that you're there and is shooting at you, and by the time he turns his guns and then ends up shooting you, by the time the shells travel and hit you, it's going to be about maybe 10 seconds at, I believe it's like 11 kilometers. So, but certainly not when there's, you know, 20 seconds left on the cap and you start shooting. So it's one of those things where basically optimizing your gameplay, and that's one of those things. So but I do like this replay because you are utilizing all of your assets in your weaponry, so to say. You're using your good HE guns. You've tried using your AP. It's been slightly unsuccessful, but it's been a good attempt. And of course, as soon as your torpedoes are ready and up, even if people are slightly out of range, you're dumping the torpedoes. And that's what I like about this replay, because even though you haven't necessarily hit a lot of torpedoes, well, you get 2 more there, but you're forcing people to go a certain way. And that's one of the things that people don't think about when they're launching torpedoes, is the fact that you can control people and the way they move with torpedoes. And it looks like you guys will actually win this, probably cap this out, maybe go kill that North Carolina, because look at him, he's sitting outside of your gun range, reversing, nearly full health. So at this point, I'm going to speed it up a little bit just so we aren't completely bored. Bismarck decides to leave the cap. Now, see, this is some good island usage. You're sitting on the cap. You can't be spotted, and you're shooting at a target that can't spot you. And that is, you know, it is getting spotted. Now he's not, but you know, this would be an ideal time to use these islands and abuse these islands. Of course, you don't want to stay here and just sit here because, look, your range is only a little under 16 kilometers, so you're going to have to move eventually. But in the case that he was at 14 kilometers, 12, 13, 14 kilometers, then that would be very nice. And you could just, you know, ground and pound on him all day long. So again, going to speed it up a little bit because it looks like we're going to run out of time. So North Carolina gets spotted again. Get 2 fires on them. Again, mentioning the good fire chance on these Japanese cruisers. It's one of their national traits. And with 2 caps, again, dumping toward. He's at 12 kilometers, but he's coming toward. The North Carolina's coming towards us. So by that logic, you know, he might hit torpedoes. And let's see. It looks like the Bismarck ended up deleting him. All right, guys. So looking at the post-battle results. 130k is nothing to be ashamed about in a ranked battle, especially with all the BBs. It's a pretty good game, and I would say you did your fair share. We saw a lot of good things in this replay, and things that we can also work on. We managed to get a high caliber, which was of course nice. We got 3 torpedo hits, which for the amount we fired, I would expect a little bit more, but like I said, they're great usage of torpedoes. I think it was pretty much spot on for your usage. So good job there. I like that. And then also 1 ship killed, 13 fires, you know, kind of showing that great Japanese cruiser HE damage and fire setting capabilities. And then 2 solo base caps. So I guess you were the DD after all. Team score wise, 25-57 is not that bad. I know you're only at rank 17, man, but I hope you get at least 2-year goals and possibly further. And let me know what you guys think about this rank season down below. Whether you're liking it more than tier 6, you probably like it a lot more than tier 7. But let me know what you guys think. Maybe should it go to 10? Should rank be at 10? Let me know down in the comment section down below. But this was actually a pretty decent team, I would say. The enemy team was questionable. But in terms of base XPs, I thought this is a fairly good team for a rank, that is. So, detailed report, 60k through main battery. We could have gotten a little bit more damage again with armor piercing, but on that Kutuzov early. But that's okay. RNG is RNG sometimes. 36k from fires and floodings, 34k from torpedoes. So very split damage, and I like to see that. Potential damage-wise, 1.4 million, not too bad. And then finally, credits and XP. Without premium, still making a good profit. Tier 8's one of those tiers where if you do a lot of damage and you kill a lot of ships and you win, you're going to get a lot more credits, even if you don't have premium, as opposed to the other tiers. So if you want to make credits, tier 8 is one of the best tiers to do that at, and we can see that here. Whether it's a random battle, whether it's a ranked battle, you see the results show that for themselves. And that's about it, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Let us know if you want to see more ranked gameplay on the channel. I know there's only like 16 days left, but well.